Previously, on Supergirl, the writers decreed that the very existence of a female superhero was the greatest thing to happen since humanity's ancestors crawled out of the primordial ooze, and anyone who had the audacity to disagree was an evil sexist. Because there couldn't possibly be any legitimate reasons to think this show isn't all it's cracked up to be, right? Right? Oh, Greg Berlanti. You thought I'd stop at one, didn't you? Well, think again. For it seems that Supergirl is a fate that neither of us can escape. But maybe it won't be so bad. Sure, the pilot had a lot of problems, but with all the setup and exposition out of the way now, maybe they can hit the ground running in week 2. Wish me luck. Since Kara proved herself to the DEO, that's the shady government agency her sister works for, she has a chance to become a field operative now. The episode begins with the boss putting her through her paces so they can gauge what she's capable of. This seems very reasonable when said prospective field operative is a superpowered alien, so naturally, Kara thinks it's a huge waste of time.
Is all of this really necessary?
Not unless you care about the people backing you up as you take on alien criminals so horrible they were locked away in a Phantom Zone prison being well informed about what you can and can't do. I mean, that might be important. Maybe. Then Kara gets a call from Wynn about a fire that needs putting out, and since they don't have a headquarters or a Batcave yet, he's calling her from the Catco offices. Kinda seems like there'd be a lack of privacy there, what with this being a media conglomerate and all, but somehow the office is completely deserted. Are all their co-workers on a bathroom break or something? Where is everybody?
This sounds like a job for Supergirl.
Since Kara is not a trained firefighter, she does have the good sense to ask the fire chief what she can do to help rather than simply taking matters into her own hands, only for him to be instantly annoyed that she's not doing his job for him.
What are you waiting for? Superman would have blown it out by now.
Right, okay.
When blowing on the fire only succeeds in spreading the fire, wow, who could have seen that coming, Kara tries pulling the oil tanker away from the fire instead. Whoops.
Miracle or menace?
I'm talking about the trouble she'll bring.
Supergirl's latest debacle.
Some hero.
Supergirl failure to launch.
This inexperienced idiot has barely had a run in her tights.
So after she crapped the bed at the dock, the entire city is once again crapping all over Kara. But it's because she legitimately and very publicly screwed up, so we'll give him a pass. What doesn't get a pass is Kara discussing her failed attempts at firefighting with Wynn in the middle of a crowded workplace as they barely even try to keep their voices down, and then makes coffee hot with her heat vision when literally anyone could be watching. I guess that secret identity thing is still a work in progress, huh? To the shock of no one, Cat Grant is in a bad mood. Not only is the Daily Planet scooping them, all the way from another city no less, but after the oil tanker debacle, Supergirl has become a laughingstock, which, as you can imagine, is a huge inconvenience for Cat.
Hashtag terrible girl.
So to remedy the situation, Cat orders everybody to get her a sit-down interview with Supergirl by the end of the week. And since not a single character on this show seems to understand what a secret identity is, James instantly tries to convince Kara to do it. That seems incredibly unwise. I know that by comic book logic, a pair of glasses and doing your hair a little differently covers up more than Harry Potter's invisibility cloak, but why push your luck if you don't have to? Unless, of course, since last week, Kara has mastered the art of disappearing into her civilian identity well enough that a savvy media mogul won't be able to tell that Supergirl and the girl who gets her coffee are the same person.
I want an interview.
Yeah. She's fucked. Meanwhile, the next alien bad guy has reared his ugly head at a chemical plant, and while investigating, Kara sees something that triggers a memory of a time on Krypton when people didn't use contractions, spoke almost entirely in exposition, and showed less emotion than, well, bad actors reading exposition off a script. Once they've identified the species of this new alien, turns out he's a bug person of some sort, Kara's pretty gung-ho about going after him. A lesser hero might be more cautious after the oil tanker incident and think they still have a lot to learn, but not our Supergirl.
I can bend steel with my bare hands.
Trust me, Kara. We know.
I just found out last week that kryptonite exists.
Wait. What?
I just found out last week that kryptonite exists.
Seriously?
I just found out last week.
Just last week, she learned about kryptonite for the first time?
Last week.
So you're telling me that not only did Kara's cousin Superman abandon her in the foster system right after meeting her and apparently cut off all communication with her for 10 plus years, but he never even bothered to tell her about the one thing on the planet that can hurt, weaken, and kill her? Holy crap, Superman's a dick. Even so, you'd think her foster parents would have told her about kryptonite at least. I mean, if anyone was informed about it, it probably would have been them, right?
Scientists who once helped him understand his own super abilities.
With the power of kryptonite on her side, Alex beats her sister around until Kara swallows her pride and realizes that she's not as ready to do the hero thing as she thought she was. Sort of.
I don't get it. Why do you keep criticizing Supergirl for trying to save the city?
Because you kinda suck at it. We just went over this. So Kat lays into Kara about everything Supergirl is doing wrong, and now we're actually getting somewhere. Kara may never have gotten the kryptonite talk, somehow, but she is finally getting the collateral damage talk, and by someone she actually listens to, so there's a chance this might sink in. Kat's diatribe strikes a chord, and Kara realizes that if she's gonna be using her powers to fight evil, then maybe she should, practice and stuff. Because her endangering the lives of firefighters and causing a huge oil spill in the bay wasn't quite enough to convince her. Good thing Kat's a boss with those pep talks, am I right?
She's trying to save the day.
By screwing everything up.
So with James and Wynn somehow giving Kara better info support than the government agency that specializes in aliens, Supergirl goes back to basics by stopping an armed robbery, saving an ambulance, pulling a snake out of a tree, and just like that the whole city loves her again. Damn, that was easy. Not so easy is Kat's ultimatum to James. Get her a sit-down interview with Supergirl in 24 hours or he's fired. Seems kinda harsh. What if she values her privacy and just doesn't want to do the interview? Sure, James and her cousin might go way back, but the allowance of being Superman's pal really only gets you so far. And oddly enough, James doesn't ask Kara to do the interview this time. He was quick to ask her before when there was nothing at stake, but now that his job's on the line and she might actually do it to help him out, he doesn't bother. I'm gonna go ahead and assume this is because James isn't quite as sure Kara could maintain the illusion and keep her identity a secret from Kat as he lets on, and who the hell could blame him? But seeing as how Supergirl's face is plastered all over Kat's wall like a shrine, if she hasn't figured it out already, there's a chance she's not as perceptive as we're giving her credit for. Later that night, the DEO sets a trap for our villain of the week, but doesn't seem to have anything with which to spring the trap, and for some reason they didn't even bother to bring Supergirl in on this, so not surprisingly, things go horribly awry. So why didn't they bring Kara in on this exactly? I get that Alex's boss doesn't trust her to get the job done, but she is all he's got. I mean, the only other equalizer for alien threats out there would be Superman, and Lord knows they can't count on him for help because, well, I'm sure there must be some kind of a reason beyond him just being a dick. Damned if I can think of one, though. Meanwhile, Kara offers to do the interview with Kat to save James's job. I'm not sure why this is such a big deal, though. It's not like James was all that bothered about possibly getting canned last week.
Yeah, and what's she gonna do, fire me right after hiring me? Her loss.
And even if he did get fired, I'm sure a Pulitzer Prize-winning photographer would have no trouble scoring a new gig.
I've seen this picture like a million times. It won a Pulitzer.
And actually, James isn't even thinking about his job being on the line. Instead, he's just bummed out that his worth as a professional seems eternally dependent on him being BFFs with a superhero.
I thought I could escape all that when I moved here.
By instantly becoming friends with the only other superhero in the world? I'm not sure you thought this through very well.
I don't want to be a hero like him.
Which is why I wear a costume exactly like his and model my whole civilian identity on his. Sure, I could have done something different and been my own person, but I'm just really lazy. But their bonding moment is interrupted when Hank Henshaw, that's Alex's boss, calls in Kara to tell her that Alex was abducted by that alien bug person due to them setting a trap without any discernible means of actually capturing him. So Kara flies around and uses her super hearing to locate Alex, while somehow not hearing the person Alex was talking to, and manages to walk right into a trap for the second week in a row. She has a mini family reunion with Aunt Astra, who, because she hasn't seen The Incredibles either, can't resist the urge to monologue, but thankfully, Kara's not really in the mood for it. So they start duking it out and eventually take to the air, but the wire work employed in that fight scene is better left unseen, so let's just skip over to Alex easily overpowering the alien bug person who just a few minutes prior lifted her out of a moving car with no effort at all. Weird. I thought he had super strength, but I guess a well-placed kick in the nuts instantly negates all that shit. Kara's having a tougher time, though. She does manage to hold her own for a while, but it seems that ice breath is still her Achilles heel. But before Aunt Astra can start monologuing again, Henshaw makes the save with a knife made of kryptonite. I guess nobody bothered to tell Astra about it either. Afterward, Alex tells Kara all about Superman's Fortress of Solitude. He never told Kara about it himself, because he's a huge dick, but Alex knows about it. Somehow. Not only that, but they've appropriated Fortress of Solitude type technology, I guess that's something else they pulled out of Kara's spaceship, which allows Kara to talk to a hologram of her mother, just like Clark talks to a hologram of his father Jor-El. So that's another thing they lifted directly from Superman.
I don't want to be a hero like him.
Could have fooled me. I have to say, I'm really not on board with this. I understand the desire to do it from a storyline standpoint, but the actress playing Kara's mom/Aunt Astra is easily the most wooden member of this cast, and frankly, the less time we spend with her, the better. That said, she's playing an AI here, so at least in this case, she has an excuse to act like an emotionless robot. And now that Alex is rescued, Henshaw is showing the first signs of growing to respect Supergirl, after she didn't really do anything to earn it and ultimately needed him to save her. Because. Also, this happens. So, Henshaw's an alien too, huh? Could be an interesting twist. But it's only the second episode, writers. Did you really need to play the authority figure isn't what he appears to be card so soon? And the episode ends with Cat Grant getting that interview with Supergirl she wanted. But rather than simply flying into her office or meeting her at her home, Kara decides that a little reckless endangerment is a better way to kick things off. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen.
We need a hero.
You have the heart of a hero.
You've always had the heart of a hero, Cora.
While hardly perfect, this episode was a step up from the pilot. A big factor in this was that the feminism narrative was dialed back considerably here and the male characters were treated less like caricatures and more like characters. By complete coincidence, I'm sure. They also show that Kara is a person with flaws and has some growing to do, and that other characters can call her out on those flaws without being instantly vilified for it. That might seem like I'm damning it with faint praise, but it's something I was concerned about after the SJW vibe I got from the pilot. It's still got problems that need to be worked on, though. They seriously need to address the Superman issue. The writers threw out some vague something or other about him always going it alone, I assume to explain why he apparently hasn't seen or even spoken to Kara in over 10 years. But when it goes so far as Superman withholding crucial information about something that has the power to kill her, that really doesn't hold water and just comes off like he's, well, a dick. Not to mention the fact that they're still hammering home the point that Kara wants to be her own person, doesn't want to be like Superman, but her identity still gets modeled after his almost to the point of absurdity. The writers really need to make up their minds about that. Nevertheless, despite that, this episode was an improvement on the pilot. I can only hope this trend continues. So hit subscribe, thumbs up the video, and smash that bell icon so you can be notified when I talk about episode 3. Until then, I'm Thorias. Over. Out.
Your friend in blue would be useful in arranging a sit-down. Maybe you could broach the subject the next time you bro-hang.
Is that what they're calling it these days? Damn, I need to get out more.